Hello, this video is a tutorial of general procedures when cleaning or maintaining a firearm. Not every firearm is the same, and this will just be general descriptions of safety, maintenance, and cleaning after use, or just from a long time of lack of use. And not every, like I said, not every firearm is the same. Different companies have different methods of building firearms, and each firearm from a company, even if they're in the same generation, may be put together differently. So, and it is a general reminder, always when working with firearms, make sure to clear the weapon of any ammunition. Make sure there's nothing in the weapon. That goes as a general safety feature. But even then, as the saying goes, a firearm is always loaded, especially the one you just cleared. And things like that will be inundated through this discussion. So, I have some of the materials, or all of the materials, that you would need to do a basic cleaning of a firearm. So, these are the things you would need to clean a firearm. Some of these may be interchangeable or not be required, but most of them are required for the most basic of cleaning. And we'll go with that later. This, obviously, you always need a screwdriver or any of your basic tools. Screwdriver, flathead, or Phillips. Over here will be another thing in a similar vein of getting into the firearm to clean it. This is a set of punches and a hammer. As firearms not always, or for the most part, have screws, but they also have pins that have to be tapped out very lightly with a hammer. We have iron wool here, which is good for very abrasive and very good at cleaning off some of the harder stuff that you may find building up in your firearm. These two here are a bore scrubber, which will also help break those things down so it's easier to clean off. And then this barricade will prevent rust on your firearms, which is definitely a large problem for firearms. This here is a bag of cut up t-shirts, white t-shirts, that are incredibly good at getting into the smaller places and cleaning out all the stuff you have broken down and some of the harder areas to reach. Same with these Q-tips, very good at getting in little corners. Then this and some of the things in here is for the barrel of the firearm. This here is a wire brush, the end of here, and this would be good for cleaning out the barrel of a small firearm. There is also little things that have an eye hole, almost like a needle, right here. And this is what you would put a very small torn piece of that t-shirt through and shove it down the barrel, and that will clean up the barrel very well, especially if it is soaked in this bore scrubber. Also, when cleaning a firearm, make sure to have little picks like these, like what you might see at a dentist, as there can be very tough chips of like metal from the barrel itself that get stuck back in the firearm in places where it should not be. We also have little plastic hooks too, as some places need a more delicate touch. And when you're cleaning and pulling apart your firearm, always make sure to have a designated area somewhere where you can place all the clean parts and where you have all of the dirty parts that still need to be cleaned. so that you are always make sure to be organized, as there can be very small pieces to some firearms, especially in pistols. Here are the two firearms we will be working with today. We have a very small pistol, only fires .22 caliber, and a larger rifle, which fires .22 long rifle. As you can see, these both have their clips. So you want to take these out, put them to the side, or just not have them in general. Nice bit of thunder. And with this pistol, you can see nothing loaded there. And when I open this, no bullet can see right through. So this is safe. And then back here is the hammer, which, now you see it's up, is down. This would be armed if there was a bullet in it, which there is not. We will not be cleaning this, but I will be going over some differences that are in pistols compared to rifles. This rifle clip is out, as you can see, and when I pull this back, you see there's nothing there. As you can see, nothing in the barrel or in the fire control group. So this weapon is also safe. Now, for the pistol, this is a fairly odd pistol, as you can see here. This portion of the barrel flips up and out, and then you would pull this back until now you see this is now at an angle, and then you just lift it off. This houses the pin, which goes through that little hole right there into whatever bullet you would be firing. And then you clean down in here, down the barrel, partially into that trigger mechanism right there. Those two little lines, very difficult to see, but right in there. And of course you would also clean this top portion. Now we will start disassembling this rifle. Since we have already cleared it, we know it is clear, though it is always good to check. All good there. And right here, we see the screw head, which holds the entire body portion of this rifle to the firing mechanism and barrel. So I will pull that out really quickly. There. Now that this screw is out, see, the entire control group just comes out of here. You will clean here a little bit, but usually these are not nearly as bad as the inside of the firearm themselves. We can put this aside. So here is the entirety of the firearm, effectively. And this can be separated into two main groups. There's the upper receiver, which is everything above here, and the trigger mechanism, which is down here. And right here, and back here, and right here are all pins that need to be punched out to be able to pull the trigger mechanism out. There, I now have two pins out. And I have the last one right here. Yeah. Now, the entire trigger control group comes off. And you will clean in here And most weapons have a trigger control group like this, though some may be accessed with the whole top still on and have an access port through the entire top. With this weapon, it is pulled off. I'm going to set that there. Here is the bolt, which you will want to take out, as these can get very dirty, and that is what you want to clean the most, as they are the moving part of the weapon and experience the most force of the weapon as well. With this one, it needs to be this back here. This needs to be removed. A little rubber bit that keeps this bolt from moving all the way back. Sorry for that. You will then pull this bolt all the way back and pull it out. This weapon does not need to be cleaned, and putting this bolt back in is very difficult, so I will leave that for later, effectively. But this will pull out, it will unclip from this right there, it'll go back behind that, and the entire bolt will be able to pull out, and you'll be able to pull out this spring, clean that, and be able to gain access to the barrel and clean down the barrel very easily. So now you will get the bore scrubber, and I have already applied it to this towel or this small piece of t-shirt, and then you will put it down the barrel. There you can see down there, it's hit the bottom, and pull it back through. You'll see it's a little dirty, so it cleaned out the barrel. And then you would get one of these little picks and clean around in the receiver and in the trigger mechanism back here. Making sure to use this bore scrubber in these places, just spraying it in, as you will also use some Q-tips to get in there, clean, dry it out, and make use of that bore scrubber. You will also want to make sure to clean the pins and other portions like around the outside of the receiver and at the front here. Making sure to get everything as clean as possible so you don't have to go back through it again. Once you have done that, you can start putting back together the firing mechanism by placing the trigger back in the same orientation and lining it up. Now that we have the whole trigger mechanism back together, we can put together the rest of the firearm by sliding it back in to its main portion, just like that, and then screwing back in this bolt right here. There. Now that we have this firearm all back together, we can now go on about the safety properties that I was mentioning before. This here is a bolt lock, and it will use this cable to go through your firing group and block your bolt from being able to fully close and thus fire. There. As you can see, this is now going through the bolt and through the magazine holder, and so it cannot hold a magazine or fully close to fire a round. And as you see here, the same can be done for a pistol. This is now locked off so it cannot fully close, and a magazine cannot be input into the base with this in the way, which is the first part of maintaining good firearm safety when in a stored environment. Having a gun lock like this, or a trigger lock, that means the trigger cannot be pulled back, not a safety, because not all firearms can be safe without them being cocked. The reason I used a pistol for the second example is that they're the most common household firearm in the United States, and in general, the world. Other common safety practices with firearms, especially with larger ones like rifles, is if you're out and about hunting or something similar, is not to point the barrel into the ground. Point it at the ground, but do not place it on the ground, as material can get into the barrel and cause more damage to the barrel and cause the weapon to incorrectly fire, which could result in danger to the user and those around them. Some final safety tips include making sure to store your ammunition separately, like keeping the magazines separate or just the ammunition out of the magazines in general and stored in a separate contained storage locker or other lockbox or something similar. The reason you want to do this is because firearms make over 50% of all suicide attempts is the use of a firearm of a family member or one purchased by someone who should not be able to purchase a firearm. So that was my tutorial on how to clean, maintain a firearm and some basic safety tips surrounding them. Always make sure to know where your ammo is and make sure to know where and who can access your ammo and your firearm. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something.